What's up, guys? Your boys are back. I'm Ryan, my man George.
On our J Electronica shit,
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? That's a double entendre, though. Because we're doing a J Electronica song, but we're on our J Electronica shit because we only drop videos like once.
We've been on hiatus. We've been on hiatus and shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I'm already coming out with the double entendres.
Yeah. And this has been such an anticipated album for what? How many years now?
About a decade. Detox level, you know.
Man.
This is one of those sort of.
It's about a decade.
Yeah, about a decade, man.
And dude, I gotta give you credit though, George, man, because I never really dug into a lot of his songs, man, but a couple of the songs that I have heard, man, like that Exhibit C,
of course,
and We Made It, I'm like, whoa, that kind of made my ears perk up a little bit. Like, dude, this dude actually can rap.
Yeah,
you know
you and everybody else's. That's exactly what everyone said. You know what I'm saying? When they heard him, they're like, who is this dude?
Yeah, like this, he can actually rap.
Including Diddy, including Just Blaze, including Jay-Z. I mean, he's had some cosigns from some of the titans in the game, man, and he just had sort of the red carpet laid out for him to be great, and
man.
he just for whatever reason just decided to exile himself from the game. So this is where we are. We're in 2020. J Electronica finally has dropped his debut album, and
with Jay,
which is crazy. You know,
that's crazy.
I was gonna keep it light. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna act like it wasn't nothing. You know, biased review, by the way.
Yeah,
this ain't gonna be on. This is a mandatory for us though. Y'all already know how it is on this channel. So I'm excited to see what they have to say, man. Let's get into it. J Electronica and Jay-Z, The Neverending Story.
Abanican su espectro.
Have you ever heard the tale of the noblest of gentlemen rose up from squalor? Tall, dark, and decked out in customary regalia, smelling like paraphernalia, hailing from the home of Mahalia. His uptown smile was gold like a Frankie Beverly Day. His favorite song from Prince was not Raspberry Beret. It was Sometimes It Snows in April. He was brought up by the faithful in the cave.
What does the production sound like to you? Shout out to Alchemist, by the way. You know, love Alchemist, by the way.
You know,
that's crazy to hear Alchemist and what will be a J collaboration as well, because I haven't heard Alchemist with Hove, I don't believe.
That was what I was trying to identify, man. It really reminds me of that Christmas song, Merry Christmas. Is at the beginning, you know how it's got those, I don't know if that's the keys or
I think
if
it's
that's
the keys,
you know, and it sounds very similar. Similar to that, but mixed in with another groove. Obviously, it doesn't sound exactly like that, but that instrument specifically is what kind of reminded me of that. But one thing I want to say though, man, before we get too far into it, man, I know this song is called The Neverending Story, and it sounds like he's taking us on like a tale. Like it's almost like an eye-opening experience. The way that the production is minimalistic, and he's telling us a story. It sounds like this is going to be something that's very eye-opening and very compelling, you know. So that's kind of what I'm excited for. I think he's going to really give us some very needed depth in his music. You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, he's always had this sort of narration feel to his music. I've always felt like he was this sort of old soul with the wisdom of the ancients, you know, bestowing, you know what I'm saying, bestowing knowledge to those who so desperately need it. I've always kind of got that feeling with J Electronica.
Yeah, man.
I'm digging it though, man. Shout out to Alchemist.
Yeah, man.
For his contributions here.
His favorite song from Prince was not Raspberry Beret. It was Sometimes It Snows in April. He was brought up by the faithful in the cage of every unclean bird, ungrateful and hateful. The legend of the clandestine reverend from the bricks with the master's grip to pull a sleeping giant out the ditch. And I ain't even have to wiggle my nose like Bewitched. I just upshift the 6, convert the V4 to a broomstick. But I tarry through the valley of death, my Lord give me pasture. If you want to be a master in life, you must submit to a master. I was born to lock horns with the devil at the brink of the hereafter. Me, the socket, the plug, and universal adapter. The prodigal son who went from his own vomit to the top of the mountain with 5 pillars in the sonnet. The autobiography read Quranic. Spread love like Kermit the Frog that permeate the fog. I'm at war like the Dukes of Hazzard against the bosses of the hogs. Gip, gip, giggity. Alchemist put the icing on the soliloquy. Let it be forever known that I niced up the pen something considerably. J Electola flow mainly is a poet mainly. The fatwa he issued on Al Shaitan was delivered plainly. It's the day of Kiyama. To the believers, I bring you tidings of joy. But if you want beef, I'll fillet me on you. You can catch me bummy as fuck or decked out in designer. On I-10 west to the desert on the Diablo like a recliner. Listen to everything from a lecture from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to Serge Gainsbourg or Madonna or a podcast on piranhas. What a time we living in. Just like the scripture says, earthquakes, fires, and plagues, the resurrection of the dead.
Man, let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot there, man.
It is. There's a lot there,
in there,
man.
man. You know, and I really like the fact that he's really bringing to the forefront his religious beliefs, and you almost get the feeling that he's almost like a poet that is giving you like a prophecy of some sort, you know, of what's to come. And maybe that's fitting because we've been waiting so long for the album. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that could be, you know, exactly what he's playing into.
You know what I'm getting from this, Ryan, is that Jay Electronica is just telling his life story. I think that this is a great track. Obviously, it's titled The Neverending Story, and his album's called A Written Testimony. I think this track is necessary to really kind of at least give you a feeling from where he comes from. You know, it looks like, to me, it seems like Islam is brought him from the darkness and into the light. He's got so many lines that are sort of attributed to that, right? He's saying here, he said he started off the verse by saying, "Have you ever heard the tale of the noblest of gentlemen who rose up from squalor?" So he came from poverty, right?
Yep.
Smelling like paraphernalia, right? Then he says specifically, he was in a cage with every unclean bird, ungrateful and hateful. So you could say maybe that he was possibly promiscuity is what he's referencing when he says in the cage of every unclean bird, meaning women who aren't taking care of themselves, they're ungrateful and hateful, women who just had negative energy and were bringing them down. So you kind of get a full picture of what he's talking about. But then he said at a certain point, with the master's grip to pull the sleeping giant out of the ditch, and I ain't even have to wiggle my nose like Bewitched. I thought that was such a beautiful line because he referred to himself as a sleeping giant. So why would he say a sleeping giant? It's someone who was unaware of his unrealized potential, right? He's sleeping. He was completely oblivious to who he was and what his purpose was in life. But Louis Farrakhan, right, the teachings of Islam are what took him from the darkness and into the light. The ditch is essentially just him being at the bottom. You know what I mean? Completely homeless, no direction whatsoever. And I love how he said it. I didn't even have to wiggle my nose like Bewitched. It didn't take some sort of
wasn't lucky
magic, you know what I mean, or whatever to get me from this place.
It was destiny.
It was destiny, and it was dedication to understanding, my purpose. Because even specifically, he also said, if you want to be a master in life, then you must submit to a master, which I thought was a great line.
I like that, man. I really love that line because I think it really shows that you have to believe in something that's higher than you, a higher purpose, you know, than just living your life through chance, so to speak, you know? And I think that really kind of really paints a picture of where his mind is at, which is a little bit more elevated, I think, than most. So I love the fact that he has a realization and a purpose in life. That's what, in a direction. That's really kind of what that's telling me there. You know?
Absolutely. No, I agree, man. I mean, the way I'm taking that as well, Ryan, is when you say a master, I do believe specifically it's in relation to a higher power, but I also believe that it's in relation to specifically his mentor in Louis Farrakhan. You know what I mean? I'm taking it specifically as you have to submit to someone, you have to defer and submit to someone who may know more than you do, so that, and someone at a certain level, so that you can learn from them and grow as an individual as well. And when he uses the word submit, submit is a very important word in my opinion, man, because it takes a certain level of sort of vulnerability.
Swallowing your pride.
Breaking yourself down, swallowing your pride in order to then break yourself down so that you can grow, right? So I think that that's kind of what I'm getting out of that line, in addition to it just being the Almighty and God, but also the teachings of a man that has a certain level of knowledge that he can bestow upon you so that you can grow and then you can become your own master and then pass that knowledge down, right? And even down here, man, when he says the prodigal son who went from his own vomit to the top of the mountain with the 5 pillars and a sonnet, which I thought was just really well written. He's just a wordsmith, you know what I mean? But when he uses the term the prodigal son, I don't know if this is biblical, if he's referring to sort of the biblical story of the prodigal son. But essentially, man, in that story, the son, he was wasteful. He was reckless, right? And then he had to go into the world and
Find
face
his
trials and tribulations and find his way, and he had to come back home. And then his father welcomed him back home with open arms, even though he was like completely just throwing his life away, because his father realized that he had to go through certain things in order to elevate, right, to get back to where he needed to be.
And I think that could be said for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In general.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're lost, but now you're found, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Right?
So
You
that's
know?
kind of ties into the never-ending story and his story. We should be on a constant sort of course of evolution, right? And this is what Jay Electronica is talking about in this song. He is the prodigal son.
Yeah.
He went from being reckless to now adopting the teachings of Islam, and now the sleeping giant has awoken. You know what I'm saying? You know? So just a very, very deep verse by Jay Electronica, which is what I love about it. It's very poetic. And this is what everyone was so excited about with him, man. He's such a poet. He has such depth in his lyricism, man.
He does.
That you really, really have to sit with this. This is why I'm not really a big fan of just grading albums when they first come out, like, because it's a certain artist, it's just doing them a disservice to just grade it right there on the spot after you've only heard it for a couple days, and thinking that you're going to be able to really sort of retain the messaging and what they're talking about.
And it's almost timely, right? You know, from what's going on in the world, right? Because the way he ended this, he said, what a time we're living in. He's all like the scripture says, earthquakes, fires, and plagues, and the resurrection of the dead. It almost feels like this could be Armageddon-ish times that we're going through.
It's interesting.
Right now. You know, regardless of what you believe, it's just very interesting, and the writing is very beautiful, regardless of what you believe.
And that's it. I'm glad you said beautiful, man. This just sounds beautiful, man. Everything in this, from the keys, the guitar work, soothing and relaxing and sort of spacious in its own way. Digging the song, man.
Yeah.
Digging the song. Let's keep it going, though.
Earthquakes, fires, and plagues, the resurrection of the dead.
Born with imperial features. I'm a page turner, sage burner, Santeria, Chang'an, December baby, Mauritius, Saint Ho. Story takes place in ancient Egypt. That cut off the nose, despite their face, they're still your Jesus. I can't tell how they white, that blue-eyed virgin is make-believe stuff. She throw me out of house, say ye deliver us from this heathen. I say that to Miss Tina, she sneeze at son. Her photic reflex, they both had straightening combs. Little did they know, I hold the heat next. Neither tool can be used to fix our defects. P.S. We born perfect. Fuck all the BS. Everybody wanna be us for real. We just gotta see us. Inshallah.
Yeah, man.
I tried to turn your day over a zillion times.
It's better when you listen to it to me, man. Who's on the vocals in this? Is it the Dream? The Dream throughout the entire time? Sounds like it. Yeah. Want to let that one rock out, man, before we stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A little bit to digest there with what Hov was talking about, though.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I'm saying? First thought, man, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a
It
beautiful,
was, dude.
beautiful song, man. It's a song that I think you clearly have to sit with this song. This is a song you're going to be able to bang. This is a song that you want to listen to while you're relaxing. You know what I mean? Maybe cleaning up the crib or whatever the case may be. But I really felt like this song was sort of a mixture of it was almost like Jay Electronica and Hove were really trying to get the listener to understand the journey of self-discovery is how I'm taking that song.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But we'll talk about Jay's line because, we got to break that down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, great song to me.
I just really felt like this was a story that kind of had multiple pages. That was one of the things I told George when Jay Electronica's verse stopped. I heard the page turning. It was almost like, okay, so you hear all of the underlining purpose of his story, right? Jay Electronica's story, and kind of the trials and tribulations, because he specifically ended this song with the earthquakes, fires, plagues, and resurrection of the dead. So it's almost like on a downward turn, like there's no hope for us, And then you hear the page turn and it goes right into Jay-Z's verse. He's like, a miracle born, page turner, sage burner, December baby, It's almost like he's giving you hope, right? This is, we've gone through the fire, we've gone through the flames, right? And now here's a miracle born baby that's here to right the ship, so to speak. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, the song in its entirety, man, it's beautiful. I mean, I don't know what other way to say it. It's just a beautiful, well-constructed masterpiece that you really have to sit with.
You do. Getting into Jay's verse, man, and really getting into the entire song. The song's titled "The Neverending Story." I think it's from a Jay Electronica's perspective. Evolution should be never ending. You know what I mean? It's a constant story. We're constantly growing and evolving because he took you from being poor and destitute and maybe reckless and lost to then adopting, the teachings of Islam and then changing his life, right? And then, like Ryan said, the page turns and then Jay-Z comes in. And I think the never ending story is, I think Jay took more of a historical perspective and applied it to sort of the thought process of essentially black people, man. He's referencing ancient Egypt in here, and he's even using terms when he said, I'm a miracle born with imperial features. I'm a page turner, sage burner, Santeria, Saint Hove.
Saint Hove.
You know what I'm saying? Story takes place in ancient Egypt. So he's referencing ancient Egypt because, there is truth in history there that has sort of been forgotten, or the truth has sort of been distorted. And black people of today are so lost that they're worshiping
a never-ending story of false teachings.
Right?
Seriously.
So, and exactly. And he's referencing the blue-eyed Jesus, and he's talking about women that he loves and cares about in his life. He said, I can't tell Hattie, like his grandmother or somebody like that, or Miss Tina, which I believe is maybe Beyonce's mother, Tina Knowles. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. He can't tell these women that he loves and he cares about, who have been conditioned to believe that these teachings are real, this information is real. That is a bunch of bullshit. They're almost too far gone at this point.
Should throw him out of his house.
Yeah,
call him a heathen. You a heathen.
You don't know what you're talking about, right? But what he's saying is you don't know what you're talking about. When he says I'm a miracle born with imperial features, we come from royalty, right? That's just been forgotten. You've been taught wrong. He specifically said, I'll say that to Miss Tina and she'll sneeze at son, her photic reflex. It's her reflex to say anything that's questioning her religion to get you out of here. Nope, not even. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. But also her son, as in maybe son-in-law. So there's sort of a double entendre there. And photic reflex, I believe, is you're sort of allergic to sunlight or something like that, right? So sneeze at sunlight, but her son. So it's just a double entendre that he threw in there.
That's cool.
And he said they both had straightening combs. Little did they know I hold the heat next. Neither two can be used to fix our defects. So that was an amazing line. Because what he's saying is the defects, as he says it, is sort of, it's internal. It's about a lack of self-love.
It has nothing to do with your hair.
It has nothing to do with your hair. You're
straight hair is not a defect. Not having straight hair is not a defect.
Exactly. Exactly. You're using straightening combs to make your hair look like, to resemble European features, because your whole life you've looked at a blue-eyed Jesus who is supposed to be your God, right? And you're trying to...
Like, that's right, and we're wrong.
And we're wrong. Yeah. And you're looking at what's natural to you, these natural you should be embracing as amazing in its own right, and you're trying to sort of rid yourself of this sort of look because you believe it's a defect. And the defect really is you have to cure what's inside to understand that you're perfect the way you are.
Yep.
I love the references to ancient Egypt here that Hove used, and then he sort of fast forwarded that and saying that these ideologies, this sort of knowledge has been lost, and as a result of it being lost, now we have sort of a lost new generation of people, right? Or generations have been lost, and now we're sort of we're worshiping deities that don't look like us, that don't represent us or where we come from, and as a result, we have this sort of self-hate. You know what I mean? We don't even know where it stems from. So he's just trying to educate, you know, people and tell them their story, right?
Yep.
He ended it by saying, P.S. We born perfect. Fuck all the BS. Everybody want to be us for real. We just got to see us. You just have to understand, you know, realize your potential, right?
Yep.
And understand who you are and where you come from. So I think that was really what he was trying to bring home in his verse. And I think Jay Electronica had to realize who he was as a man, and he had to realize his potential. He referred to himself as a sleeping giant that needed to be pulled out the ditch. He's a giant. He just didn't realize it yet. So it's all about sort of being woke. I know that's a trigger word these days, a polarizing word. And waking up and realizing your potential, man.
Yeah, man.
Self-love as well. So I thought that was a great song, very well produced. Shout out to the Alchemist, man. Shout out to the Dream for his contributions. I don't know if that was the Dream giving those sort of ghostly vocals in the background that created a really dope soundscape as well, man. Beautiful song, man. Yeah, so give us some feedback on the album, man. Let us know what you think. I've been hearing, for the most part, I think people really like the album. They at least think it's good, but I've been hearing controversy about Jay-Z and Jay Electronica and Jay outshining him and all this other stuff, and I just didn't look at the song like that at all. I just thought that they both had some very compelling things to offer to the song. It's not always about comparing who had the best verse. Take a step back and just appreciate it for what it is. You know, I think just the whole idea of it being his debut instead of it just being introduced as a collab album is what has people just sort of...
And it's taking on that narrative instead of the actual art form itself.
Yeah, so salute. I can't wait to dig into the album even more. If you guys enjoyed that, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm George. That's Ryan Las Vegas.
We out.
We out.